What's going on, guys? It's Shadow from TCG, bringing you guys another deck profile video. As requested, we will be going over the King deck list that I was using at locals. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, liking the videos, comment down below what you guys think, what you guys want to see next as far as deck profiles, POVs. I'm always down to play whatever leader. But without further ado, let's get right into this deck profile. Alright, as always, we got to review the leader. We are playing the King leader. So the leader card has two effects. It's got an activate main, Dawn -2. You could choose either or. If you have 5 cards or less, you could draw 1 card, or you could give one of your opponent's characters -2. So always dependent on the situation, and when you're at that high enough, 10 Dawn, and you can recoup it easily, great to pop off his ability. Going into the characters, I am running a 4 of Queen. Queen is a on play. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a Animal Kingdom card. So Animal Kingdom Pirates, but it cannot search itself. So this 1 cost Queen cannot search the 5 cost blocker Queen. So that's the only drawback to it, but it does let you find Onigashima Island, which is your biggest piece of the deck, which is a ramping. But this is also good to play off, first turn if you don't have stays, or try to look at it in the top 5. So that's pretty much the only character searcher that I run in the deck. Going on to my next 1 cost, I am running a 4 of Sasaki. It's an activate main. This is a 2k counter. Activate main, you play out the Sasaki, you rest one of your active Dons and rest the character itself, and you can give anything on your opponent's field -2. So I usually try to set this up like a turn prior to me knowing I'm going to play Jack, or like on a higher end turn, so I could reduce by 2. Let's say if I'm going second, my 8 Dawn turn, I want to set this up the turn prior, so that when Jack is on the field, I can give something -2 from Sasaki. And if it's something on the higher end, you could always do your leader ability for -2, play out the Jack, rest the Jack, and pop up to a 5 cost if it's just that's all that's needed for Sasaki, or up to a 7 cost using your leader ability. So great way for reduction, and it's always going to be the target once it goes sideways, because who's going to want to leave that on board. So it's like a little pseudo blocker. On to the next 1 cost. We all know our main girl, Suru. I am running it at a 2 of. It's a 2k counter, but it's also an on play. Give something -2 for your opponent. Again, this is a control deck, so we want to set up Jack. If we don't have nothing else to reduce, we have the Suru. So something to just get us down in the range if we need it. On to the next one. We are running a 2 of Shiki. This is just a little chump blocker that I'm running, but also when you get to that 8 Dawn and you play Shiki out, it's like a way to cycle out your hand, because its ability is, when it's an on play, when you have 8 or more Dawn, you draw a card and you trash a card from your hand. So great way to try to find some pieces, but at the end of the day, it's just a pseudo blocker, or like a little chump blocker for me. Not a pseudo, it is a blocker. Next 2 of the deck that I have is Hitakori Kamazo. It's a 2k counter, but I started playing a couple games I didn't record. It's got a once per turn on my turn. When a Dawn card on my field is returned to the Dawn deck, KO up to one of your opponent's 2 cost characters. So I was practicing, and I was doing some nasty combos with this, where I would Dawn minus off my leader, reducing one of my opponent's 4 cost, and then Hitakori would KO that body, putting it in range, and then I was using Sasaki to reduce something else and popping with King. Not only that, it can swing, but if you can get the setup for that, this guy is nasty. Other than that, if not, it's a 2k counter. So that's really what I'm using it for, is just for the 2k. But you can set up some nasty plays to be able to pop your opponent's board with Hitakori, if you can set it up. Next, I am running a 2 of Pudding. Pudding is searchable because I am running the event, you're going to see. But Pudding's ability is a activate main. Not activate main. It is a once per turn on my turn. When a Dawn is sent back to the Dawn deck, you ramp a Dawn back rested. So I like to call it the cheaper version of Kid. So Kid will bring it back active. Pudding brings it back rested. But it's a way, you know, there is a decent amount of Don minus in the deck, especially once you start using leader ability. So it's a good way to keep your Don consistently coming back so you don't fall too far behind. But I only run it at a 2 of. I don't need it more than that. Very rarely am I playing it out if I can get the stage. Next, I am running a 2 of the Black Maria. So this is really just a searchable 2k counter for me. Not really ever using the ability just because I'm trying to just consistently ramp. I'm not Don minusing to the point where I fall too far behind, like if I'm playing Reiju. But just a searchable 2k counter. But if you need to and your opponent ramped way faster than you, this is a way to get yourself there. Obviously, her ability is an activate main once per turn. Give yourself 5 rested Don. But at the end of your turn, you get the exact same amount of Don as your opponent. So let's say I was at 3 Don and I bumped myself all the way up to 8, but my opponent was at 6. At the end of turn, I will have to go down to 6. So it's there if I need to, if my opponent ramps faster than me. If not, it is a 2k counter at the end of the day. That's pretty much it for my 2 ofs. Next, we're going to go into my 5 cost. So I am running a 4 of Who's Who. It's a 2k counter, but it's got an on play. I trash a card from hand. I can KO one of my opponent's 3 cost or less characters. It also does have a trigger to be able to pop out of life a 3 cost character. Kind of like an Ice Age, but it's a body. For the trigger at least. So great. I usually use it for a 2k, but if I have nothing else to pop and I can get stuff in range like the Sasaki or the Suru, Who's Who could come out on the field and pop a body. So great. It's another way to be able to remove something off the field. And again, a searchable card off Queen Searcher. Next, we got a 4 of the Queens. We all know what this card does. This is a pretty goated card. On play, Don -1, draw 2, trash 1. So wait a +1 in the hand and kind of filter out your bricks. After a while, the stage card, once you have one established, you do not need it. It's just in your hand for no reason. So that's where the trash ability for, you know, Who's Who and the Queen, to be able to cycle that card out when you don't need it anymore, to be able to utilize other stuff. So great card. And then again, not searchable off Queen, but it is searchable off the event that I do run. I am running a 2 of Albert. So this is an activate main. I get to trash this character and I get to play out a king card from my hand, but I had to have 10 Don. So that's the only drawback for it, but I have it at a 2 of right now. It's a 1k counter. I haven't really ever used it for its actual ability. It's usually always a 1k counter. I have tried to set it up, but I don't. By the time I need it to be used, it's too late. So I might switch this out, potentially put in more 2ks. X-Drake is an Animal Kingdom card, so I might put X-Drake into here, but I'm still playtesting with it because the next card is King. So I am running 3 Kings. It's a 6 cost King from the starter deck. So on play, Don -1, KO up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 4 or less. So if I was at 10 Don, I could have had Albert established, you know, trash him, play out the King for free. I don't have to use 6 Don and pop a body, but you know, the combo hasn't really happened for me, but it's there if needed. But yeah, this King is another one to be able to clear board, and after the fact, it is a 7k body, so it's gonna put a lot of pressure onto your opponent after it's established and they don't get rid of it. Next, I run a 1 of the Rush King. So on play, Don -1. If the amount of let's see, if your total amount has 5 or more Don cards in the field, this character gains Rush. So yeah, if my opponent has 5 or more Don cards, this gets Rush. I also haven't used it. It's kind of a brick. This I might take out for sure, but this is just something else that I could combo off of Albert if needed. But I'm not really liking it too much. Again, I'm considering just putting in the X-Drake for another extra 2k counter, or I could potentially look for something else, but that's where I'm leaning towards more at the moment. Into some of the top end, the goats of the deck, the MVPs. I am running 3 of Jack. We all know what this thing does at the time already. So activate main, You're gonna rest the Jack. You're gonna draw a card, trash a card, and you can pop KO a 3 cost or less on your opponent's side of the field. Again, comboing Jack with Sasaki or even just Don minusing from your leader ability, you are able to get a 5 cost or a 7 cost comboing the both. So it is pretty nasty what Jack can do once everything is established. Into the next top end, I am running a 3 of Kaido. So Kaido's an activate main the turn that it is played. Make sure you guys are using the ability only on the turn that it's played, because if you try using it on the turn after, you just lose a card. So its activate main is when it is played, you trash 1 card from your hand. You get to trash one of your opponent's 7 costs or less to the trash, and they have to discard a card from hand. So you're removing a 7 cost body, potentially like a Hody Jones, or let's say you establish the Kaido, you do your leader ability, you can get a 9 cost off the field that same turn and taking a card from hand. So busted. I love this card in this deck. So one of the goats for sure. I run it at 3 of. Next for the top end, we're running a 3 of Charlotte Linlin, OP8, so the purple card. This is an on play Don -1, and then you also have to trash a card. You get to heal 1, and then you put a 7 cost or lower character card from your opponent's field to the bottom or top of their life. So a way to kind of keep board control with this while healing, but they're putting it into their life. So you kind of give them a life, but you can remove like something that's giving you a tough time, like the TCGs. Instead of putting them into the trash, you could put them into the bottom of their life, so you know you won't be seeing that big TCG or a Hody Jones. So you know, this card has come in clutch for me, but preferably I'd rather just put the Jack and Kaido and then go bananas with them because I'm not giving them a life. But this is also still a great card. Next for the spice that I got, I am running a 2 of Kuzan. So it's the 10 drop Kuzan. It's my turn. Everything on my opponent's field gets -5, and then it's on play. I get to KO a 0 cost card. So as soon as this thing hits the field, it could reduce everything by 5, and then I could choose something to pop. So let's say I got the queen or the who's who, automatically a 0, and I could get rid of them, even the blocker. So establishing the Kuzan with the Jack puts pretty much everything in range, because it brings it all down to a 5. If it's a 10 cost, it's automatically a 5. Use leader ability for a -2, and it's all in the Jack's range. So this deck could take a lot of setup to get there, but once you're at the established top end, everything's in range, and you can remove anybody. 10 moms does not matter. That's it for the character cards. Now we're going into the event cards. I am running a 2 of. We're going to claim the One Piece. So if your leader is an Animal Kingdom Pirates or a Big Mom Pirates, you get to look at the top 5 cards, and you're looking for either or Big Mom Pirates or Animal Kingdom. So this can find pretty much your entire deck with the exception of Kuzan and Suru and Shiki. But, you know, it's searchable for the Big Moms, your Kaidos, you know, your Jacks, everything. Especially the most important piece of the deck, Onigashima Island. So the only way you can find this is if you have the event or the Queen Searcher. So you always want to make sure you open with this card. If not, you're going to have the worst time, because this is what helps you ramp. This is old school ramp. You don't got, you know, like Ploofy ability where you could take your own life and ramp automatically. So this is the most essential part. You need this to be able to ramp and then continuously just get to your top end and then pop your leader ability off while regaining that Dawn back. So always looking for this. And then I run, last card of the deck, I run a 1 of Conquest of the Sea. It's a 6 cost, Dawn -2. You get to KO up to 2 of your opponent's characters with the cost of 6 or less. So another way of board removal if I need to clear 2 bodies at once. And that's the King list, guys. If you guys like the content, again, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys think of the deck list. You know, give me your suggestions of what I should swap out, and then I'll keep testing the deck out. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.